Did Rapid City real estate get any more affordable in 2025? Hey everybody, Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty, a realtor right here in Rapid City, South Dakota, the gateway to the Black Hills. Welcome to the 2025 Rapid City Real Estate Market Report video. I always like these the best because they really give a better bird's eye view year over year over year over year. You can kind of get an idea of how things are trending in Rapid City overall. Now, values typically in Rapid City, they go up a little bit every year. Since 2012, this is what we've seen. Except, of course, during the pandemic where things went crazy and it spiked unnaturally. We're going to talk about these values in 2025 and where things are at right now. But before we get there, let's talk about some of the national headlines you've seen in regards to housing affordability, some of the announcements and ideas that President Trump has proposed, and let's talk about whether or not those are actually going to make a difference on home prices here in podunk Rapid City, South Dakota. First of all, there's a proposal to ban the large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. Now, while this might be a good idea in general, in our area, we don't have enough properties, we don't have enough space, we don't have enough population for a large institutional investor to come to our area anyway. Some big metropolitan areas like Atlanta, they're seeing a lot of this happening right now. And overall, if you consider all the homes bought in the nation, only about 2% fall in this category. So it certainly would be helpful in certain locations, but it really isn't going to make a whole lot of difference here in our area because of the lack of homes to buy. Plus, if that did come into effect, there's lots of little minutiae details like what do you consider a large investor and what's to stop the large investor from just creating a small LLC with only 3 or 5 homes. I mean, it seems like they'd be able to get around that relatively easy and make the whole idea moot to begin with. The second idea was a $200 billion bond purchase. I don't understand all the nuts and bolts that go on through this process, but the idea is to direct Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy up to $200 billion of bonds to help lower those interest rates. The logic behind this was more demand for mortgage-backed securities, lower years, and thus hopefully interest rates. Now, actually, this news did help the mortgage rates to go down to finally get below the 6%, which we haven't seen since 2022. While this move might help mortgage interest rates in the short term, it's definitely not a long-term housing affordability fix. I have heard from other lenders that I've talked with that they do expect those rates to come down even a little bit more, but they don't expect them to get down into the 4s by any means. The other proposed ideas we talked about in the previous video, and that's a 50-year mortgage and the portable mortgage. Again, both ideas are great ideas for a certain selection of people that would benefit from those types of mortgages, but in general, that's not going to completely fix that affordable housing issue. Finally, there's a proposal for a national housing emergency. The idea here is to cut building regulations, streamline building codes, and prioritize key materials such as lumber and steel to help lower those construction costs. The idea here is to boost supply with faster construction of affordable homes through ideas like innovation, modular housing, and reduced zoning regulations. One of the biggest hurdles over the past few years of affordable housing for new construction is the materials costs. So this would certainly help matters in that realm. However, labor has still been expensive, and I don't know how much that would actually lower the new construction costs because of everything else being higher in price. And fewer regulations would certainly help our builders get through a process a lot easier. However, we only have so many builders in town, and that's not going to make a huge difference on the number of homes they can build in a certain given year. We only have one national builder in town, and that's Hillsview Homes, that does offer some incentives, and then they build a lot of homes. And their homes can be a little bit cheaper because they are buying in bulk and doing all the things like a national home builder will do. And the chances of getting another national builder, something like D.R. Horton up here, would be minimal. First of all, you've got our remoteness. The supply lines are so much farther away, it would be less cost effective for them to set up shop here and start building homes. Secondly, they would need a big area to build in. They're not going to come out for just 50 homes. They'd want to build hundreds of homes in some areas. So that would take some serious land development to happen. And whether or not D.R. Horton does that or not is another question. But that would require a lot of infrastructure and upfront costs before they're even coming here to start building the homes. In Rapid City, our housing affordability is really tied to supply. While we do have a lot more homes for sale now than we did a few years ago, there isn't enough homes available on the market for the demand. Nor are we anywhere near a buyer's market when there are more homes available than there are buyers, and that's actually what makes some prices come down. Fortunately, we do have some new construction affordable home neighborhoods in our area. You can get a new home for between $200,000 and $350,000. Unfortunately, a lot of these properties are relatively small, and if you've got 4 kids like I do, it'd be tough to get into one of those properties and still fit. All right, let's get into the numbers of 2025 in the Rapid City area real estate market. First, let's get an overview of what happened in December of 2025 in Rapid City. I just did Rapid City, South Dakota as the city. This is from National Association of Realtors, so it's got all the data that comes from Realtor.com. You can see here we're still in the seller's market at 3.2 months of inventory, which went down 1.5 months from the previous month. So a little bit more action here in December as we move things along. Plus, the other thing to note here is the list to sell price. 98% of list price is what the average home is being sold for. So while sellers are certainly negotiating to get their home sold, it's not like $50,000 off the list price. You aren't getting a huge deal. They're still getting their home sold in a reasonable amount of time, but it gives you an idea that sellers aren't selling their home and giving away the farm. All right, now on to the fun graph. This is from the Black Hills MLS, and it only talks about the areas around Rapid City, the cities like Box Elder, Blackhawk, Somerset, that kind of surrounding cities. We're not getting into Spearfish or down into Hermosa Hill City, that kind of thing, okay? As I mentioned before, typically we've seen a very steady incline in home prices, average home prices over year. Are we going to continue to see that? After all, we've had a higher interest rates. We had a softening of the real estate market for sure in the past couple of years. Before we get to the sold numbers, let's take a look at this graph right here. This shows the days on market. So you can see the average days on market in 2021 and 2022, when things were a bit crazy around here, is about nothing. And as we've come out of that, we've started to see days on market become a little more normal than what it was prior to the pandemic. And even though we've seen a higher amount of days on market in 2025, our prices still went up a little bit. Now, of course, these are the average sold home prices, not the median. So we've got a few really high ones and a few really low ones to bring us to that average. But at least we're looking at the same idea from year to year to year. From 2020 to 2022, that's this dark blue to the light blue, that average sale price increased by 29%. That's the huge pandemic thing that we were experiencing. Since then, we've had a 1.8% growth. It was 7.5% growth from 23 to 24. And this past year, it's only been a 1.2% growth in average home sale prices. This is very similar to what we saw from 2012 to 2019 in our Rapid City real estate market. Some years we had a little more growth, but it's still single digit. And then some years we only had 1 or 2% growth. What does this mean for you? So if you're a buyer thinking about buying in Rapid City, whether you're moving from one place to another or coming and moving from out of town, if you're waiting for the market to fall out in Rapid City before you buy a home, you might be waiting for quite a while. With all the things happening in our area, the new mission coming to Ellsworth Air Force Base, new hospital coming to town, the growth of Monument Health, we're still the trade hub for 200 miles for shopping and services and hospital and all the different things. So I don't foresee the growth of Rapid City to go down anytime soon. Elevate Rapid City projects that by 2030, we'll have an additional 8,000 people in our immediate Rapid City area and 15,000 within the Black Hills extended region. And as I've said before, as you see these prices go up and up and up, the sooner that you buy, the happier that you're going to be because of that increase in price. You're going to spend less on a home if you buy now versus if you buy in a few years. And as the interest rates have just dipped, and as we're not getting quite into the spring market yet, I've got a number of people that are waiting for spring for things to happen. Now is the time for you to get a better deal on a property, especially one that's been maybe sitting on the market for a while. Maybe it needs a little bit extra work that another buyer might not be willing to give. These are some opportunities for you to get into a property at maybe a cheaper price because of the present market in the wintertime. Sellers, while you have a little bit of an edge in your area, it's not a huge edge. Buyers have been considerably more picky on the things that they choose and the little things that come up in the home inspection report. The more that you can do to make your home as nice and as presentable as possible, the better chance that you'll get a buyer that likes your property, gives you what you want for it price-wise, and gets sold as soon as possible. I'm working with a set of clients right now where mom is to the point where she can't stay in her house anymore, and so we're going in and updating her property. Now, this isn't anything huge that we're doing. It's just painting everything. A fresh coat of paint is relatively cheap in the scheme of things and will produce huge results in just the showmanship, people looking at the property. That will give you a huge ROI right there. I like to tell the story of a property I had for sale a number of years ago where the owner moved out and rented the property out for a year. By the time it came to time to sell it, she didn't want to do some of the work to paint, etc. And all the remarks were, oh, this place needs a lot of work, it's a piece of crap, etc. All we did was have a guy come in and paint it. That's all we did. And we had it sold shortly after that. And all the, oh, it needs work statements went away. Interior paint is one of the best things you can do to make your home look the best as possible. And make sure while you're painting the walls, paint that ceiling too. The dull ceiling after a fresh coat of paint on the walls, sometimes that can be a deal killer.
All right, as I'm editing this video, I realized I wanted to make one clarification when it comes to painting your property. there's a difference between painting it right and just painting it. I mean, if you are painting over the outlets, painting over the outlet covers, kind of like the landlord special, if you're getting paint all over the sides of the trim, that's not going to help you. Someone like me is going to look at that and go, that looks terrible. I got to redo the whole thing. You just ruined all the baseboard. So make sure you do everything appropriately. Hire someone if you have to get the stuff done in a way that's right, professional, and not just a liability because you didn't do it correctly.
The other thing that we're doing is refinishing the hardwood floor. Quote that they got for buffing it out and just putting new coats of finish on, just shining that baby back up, is $4 per square foot. So if you've got 1,000 square foot, that was $4,000 to get that done. But a buyer walking in the door and seeing a refinished hardwood floor that they don't have to do anything, they're not going to automatically start subtracting $5,000, $10,000 off the purchase price to get that done because they think that's what it's going to cost. Stats show that refinishing a hardwood floor has over a 100% ROI on the value of your property. We're not talking about replacing cabinets or creating new rooms or doing huge things. It's just buttoning up the things that have been started, making everything look as nice as possible, and of course doing those things that you need to do that affect financeability. We're talking outside paint, ripped screens, broken windows, those kind of things that need to be done. If this seems all overwhelming to you, I do have a report that I put together that talks about pretty much everything I talked about in more detail. I'll put the link to that report below. You can download that for free. However, I can give you a more customized idea of what you can do to get your home ready for sale by visiting your property and giving you kind of a 1, 2, 3. Hey, these are the things that have to be done for financing. These are the things that would be great to be done. And if you want to go full bore and do everything and be really cool, you could do this much. Typically, people stay in the middle of the road, but it gives you an idea of all the different things you can do at potential price points at each level. The problem with selling your house as is, when it needs work, is a buyer's going to come in the door and say, hey, it needs this and this and this. And they're going to start subtracting off your list price because it needs all this work, no matter if you have adjusted for the price or not. Doing the work to make sure that it's at least financeable and move-in ready gives you the best chance to get what you're looking for in the sale of your home. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now in 2026. However, usually here in Rapid City, we're a little more isolated from all that's going on, and it doesn't affect us as much. We'll see what happens in the coming months to the real estate market here in Rapid City. Regardless, I expect to see spring be a busy time as usual because that's the way we roll here in Rapid City. Thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Remember, love where you live.